Morning. Excited for another Big East Championship game this week. Great opportunity for our program, playing against an excellent Pittsburgh football team. I don't know if I could say enough about the job I think Coach Christ has done. I think he's done a tremendous job with that program. They've certainly gotten better and better as the season's gone on, and in the face of a really difficult situation for him because of the coaching changes they've had over the last couple of years, it puts a program in turmoil, puts personnel things in turmoil, and he's done a great job of steadying their ship and making that program improve week by week. And you see it when you put the film on, and there's no doubt they're a very talented football team. You probably have to start with their running backs, Ray Graham and Russell Shell, as good a backfield, a good a pair of guys as there is in our league. Certainly we're very familiar with Ray, being Ray from our home state and being Kasim's brother. And they have a senior quarterback, and I think there's always an advantage when you have a senior quarterback. And Timo Sinceri's played a lot of good football in the Big East, and is probably playing his best football. Currently 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. When you think just a year ago he threw 10 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, you see how hard he's worked, how much he's improved, how his decision-making's gotten better, and the great job that their offensive coaching staff at Pitt has done with him to get him to play that efficiently. And I think those are the things you expect out of a senior quarterback, and he is certainly producing for them. They use a host of skilled people, tight ends, wide receivers, fullbacks, and they're a very similar structurally offensive football team to what we are. I think they, not really knowing Coach Christ personally, but just watching the film, they seem to believe in the same things we believe in offensively in terms of running the football. And his pedigree at Wisconsin, certainly everybody's aware of that, how effective they were. And they've done a great job of playing really good team defense. They've got one of the premier inside defensive players in our league, and Aaron Donald, number 97, a tremendous playmaker, somebody that I remember very keenly from last year. And having worked with a couple of guys that had been at Pitt the year before, somebody that, as we were getting ready to play Pitt last year, we were very aware that we needed to make sure that we paid very close attention to where he was and to make sure that we were trying to minimize his effect on the game. And they play a lot of people up front. They play a lot of people at the linebacker level. They do a good job of keeping their players fresh. They run to the football. They're giving up, I think, less than 24 points a game. They've done a tremendous job on defense. Again, for a team that has had to take over a group of players that have been forced into a couple different systems over the last couple of years, I think they've done a tremendous job of playing really good, consistent defense the entire year, despite the fact that their starting will linebacker, number 36, is out for the year with an ACL injury that he got in the Louisville game. So despite some personnel changes and injuries, they've continued to play high level of defense when you look at the points scored, because really that's the most important statistic. So it'll be a tremendous challenge for us going to Pittsburgh, a great venue for football, Heinz Stadium, and we're looking forward to it. And that's where we've set our sights this week. Any questions?
How did you come out of the game injury-wise?
I think we came out well. I don't think any worse for wear. I don't anticipate anybody who played in the game not being available for us this week, and hopefully guys like Juwan Jamison will be that much healthier for having not played as much.
Is he still the same? I mean, can you see some progress over?
I don't think he's the same. I think the combination of only carrying the ball a couple times. We didn't hit yesterday. We had a practice, but we didn't have pads on. Today he'll be able to get in the training room, get his body feeling good. I think he'll be better tomorrow than he was on Saturday.
Kyle, how will you approach preparing with the running back situation with Savon coming off the big day, Juwan injured? What's just the general plan for the week leading up to the game with the two of them?
Well, I think we handle it probably the same way we did last week, and as Juwan gets healthier, his role will get bigger and bigger.
Kyle, I know you said yesterday during the call that you can't really talk about the Big Ten. It's up to Tim, but is there anything you can add? I guess there's reports now Maryland voted unanimously to pursue the Big Ten. Is there anything else you can add or anything?
Really, no. And I think those questions are best served, being asked to Tim, because he's the one who's involved in it. And I'm gonna stay out of it. We have 11 days left in our season, and I think what I've said to the players is what I say to myself. We're going to control the things as a football program that we control. And this week, the only thing we control is our performance against Pitt, so that's what we're going to put our focus.
Coach, before the season, before Savon got hurt early in the season, the idea kind of was you thought you had two starting running backs and they were going to share carries a little bit. Then Savon got hurt and his carries went down. I mean, has he now earned the right to get, even when Juwan is healthy, be it this week or next week or the bowl game, has he earned a right to get more than the 3 or 4 carries he was getting between when he got hurt and this week when he was starting?
I think every week is a different situation, and I think we have to evaluate that game by game. And this week, Savon was 100% and Juwan wasn't, so Savon carried the workload. And whichever guy is in there, we've got tremendous confidence in them. We don't change the offense because one is in there over the other. We don't do that. And so, I guess the answer is every week will be different. As we go into this week, we'll see where Juwan is at the end of the week, and then we'll call the game accordingly.
Kyle, how concerned are you with Gary's decision making 11 turnovers in the last 4 games?
I'm not concerned at all. I think Gary's learned from every mistake he's made this year. I think he's gotten significantly better as the year's gone on at making good decisions. The stat sheet says 2 interceptions in the last game, but from a coaching perspective, it's really only 1 because the other one he was trying to throw the ball out of bounds and couldn't get enough on it because we busted the protection. So I know the statistics go down that way, and I'm not arguing the statistical part of it, but in terms of coaching him and his decision-making, he made the right decision on that play. The situation didn't allow him to execute it. And the other one at the end of the half, certainly a decision that we'd like to have back, and next time I have full confidence he'll make a better one.
Coach, in a game where they are both getting carries, whatever the split may be, are they a good complement? Because you've said so many times that they're not the same kind of runner. Juwan is the make you miss kind of guy, and Savon is, like a
run through your arms.
Yeah, like a run through your arms kind of guy. Do they make a good complement? Like a thunder and lightning type thing?
I don't know if I'm into the nickname part of it, but I think they make a good complement because they're both high-level players. If you had 2 guys with different running styles and one wasn't as good a player, I don't know if they'd be as good a complement. I think what makes them a complementary pair of backs is that they're both capable of having a big day, and it allows you to keep a fresh running back in the game all the time.
Well, could you talk about the job of Nick or Easy, just him stepping into a situation like this?
We're very pleased. Nick has become a major asset to this football team because he provided depth at a position where a lot of times it's overlooked. And you don't enter a lot of games with a major concern about losing your kicker during the game. It just doesn't happen that often. But for us, it did. And Nick was able to step in and steady the ship. And really, we haven't had to change anything about our offensive thought process since he's been in there. And that is a tremendous luxury for me as the head football coach.
With all the Big Ten talk, are you worried about any distractions to your team as they prepare for this game?
I'm not. I think when you have an opportunity as a football program, as a coach, as a player, to do something that's never been done in the history of your program, and we've been playing football as long as anybody else has been playing college football, as the sign says in our stadium, we are a very focused group. The football people in this building are focused on one thing, that's trying to be 1-0 versus Pitt. We have very qualified people around campus led by Tim Bernetti and Jason Baum that will handle everything else.
Well, Kyle, getting back to Nick for a second, could you tell us a little bit about him? Where I know he was a walk-on, and he just really stepped up here in a couple of big spots for you.
Yeah, Nick was a walk-on for us, and what I would tell you, he's got a very, very laid-back demeanor. A little bit similar to Kyle. He's not shaken very easily. Even after the first kick got blocked and he knew it was low, and I talked to him on the side. He says, "Don't worry, Coach, I got it." And I said, "Well, that's good because you're going to get another opportunity." And he did, and he was right. He had it. So that type of competitive composure, I think is critical, especially for a player at a position where you're not in the game every play. You get called, you run out there, you execute your job, and then you go back to the sideline for a certain period of time. So he's been a major, as I said before, a major asset to the football program, and somebody who's become a very valuable piece of the puzzle here.
Kyle, you talked about the maturity of this team and the experience. And I know it's your first season, but how has that altered how you have approached this team and coaching it?
I don't think it's altered how I've coached the team, only because I felt that way from the beginning. I think when you have a mature team like we do, it helps you to really eliminate distractions from the younger players. You know, when you have an immature team, you spend a lot more time, I think, as a coach and a coaching staff trying to make sure the younger players don't distract the rest of the team. But I think what I found with this group is that the senior leadership and the established players on the team, they've handled that for me, and I think that's positive.
And have you seen, because you've been around a lot of teams, how it's worked when it's not such a experienced team? Is that where you draw your, I don't know if I'm making sense. You've been around teams that are inexperienced too. How much have you taken from that and being around those teams to how you are handling this team?
I've certainly seen it. I've certainly seen it both ways in 19 years. You know, I think every team is unique. Every season is unique. You know, this is a very special football team, and I think the number of established players and leaders on this team is a great testament to the quality of the people that were recruited in the first place. You know, here 4 and 5 years ago. You know, I think what happens when you have a less experienced, less mature team is you spend a lot more time on the maintenance part and not enough time on the things that are more important. You know, you get distracted a lot, and ultimately it gets you on the field.
Your team is first in the turnover margin, and Pittsburgh is second in the Big East. So has your team approached this game on offense and defense as far as trying to win the turnover battle?
We really approach it the same way we have every week. I think, you know, we're certainly going to go into the game with securing the football being a major priority. You know, by anybody who touches the football, whether it's the center, the quarterback, the receivers, the tailbacks, tight ends, etc. And then on defense, we're going to do everything we can to take it away, as long as it fits into our tackling system. I don't think that changes. I think what happens in a game like this, where the other team has done a very good job of protecting the ball and taking it away like they have, is it makes you more conscious of the fact that one turnover in the game may be the only turnover in the game. You know, again, there's no guarantee. You know, you still have to go out there and protect it and try to take it away, but every play becomes critical. But I think that's also the nature of championship football in November.
Coach Kasim Green, again, Player of the Week, Big East. Can you just talk about his continued play?
He gets better and better. And as I've said, I really believe he's at the beginning stages of his learning curve. You know, he's less than 2 years into being a linebacker. So I think that when you see him getting better and better, what you're seeing is more and more experience playing into that. And the more he plays linebacker, the better he's going to get. I don't think he's anywhere near where he's going to be a couple of years from now.
Coach, you mentioned Ray Graham in your opening statement, but if you could just expand on him a little bit. I mean, it seems like he's fully back from his knee injury now.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah. What does he look like he did before the knee injury? And from the other side of that, Kasim, is he any different on Pitt game days than he is other game days because he's facing his brother?
No, I don't think so. I don't think Kasim's any different. I think he approaches this game knowing that they have a really talented running back on the other side. Happens to be his brother, but a very talented running back nonetheless. There's no doubt Ray Graham's back. He's 100%. He is as good a tailback as this league has had. I mean, he's an excellent football player, a guy that can put his foot in the ground, change directions in one step, make you miss in the open field, and then run away from you. He's a complete football player, and it'll be a tremendous challenge to our defense this week to minimize it.
What the Cal, we could talk about the defense a little bit. You know, is this one of the best groups you've seen since you've been here? I know it's a senior-laden group, and it seems like everything is really coming together at the right time.
I don't know if I could say that before the end of the season. I think those kind of classifications, you wait until the body of work is done, and then you can kind of look back and compare. You know, I thought the effort last week was as good an effort for a game as I've seen, and we're certainly playing defense at a high level, but nothing we've done in the first 10 games this season will get us anything this week. You know, we got to go back to work this week and focus on being 1-0 and make sure that all the things that have allowed us to perform well in the past, we'll continue to do those in preparation so that we can hopefully do a good job this week against a very talented offensive Pitt.
Any other questions, Carl?